Okay, so here I am talking to absolutely no one. Excellent. I'm just gonna wander around for a minute. I'll be right back. Hey, who's that? Who's here? Somebody's here. Ah, Mr. Landfill, how's it going, man? Hello, Eli. All right. I usually stall for like 2 minutes to give people a chance to show up and make sure this is actually working. And yeah, I know I'm not wearing, well, I'm wearing shorts. I'm not wearing a shirt again because it's just summer. It's hot. It's just hot. Everyone in the audience is allowed to not wear clothes. I feel like I should be not required to wear clothes either. Although I am wearing clothes on the bottom half, just not a shirt. Yeah, I'm making you hungry, man. I just ate 5 egg sandwiches really fast because yeah, I just did. That's just what I did. On what's it called? On coconut sourdough bread. Oh, you know what? I have to turn up my brightness a little bit. Although I'll turn it down soon. It's going to get dark. Tails Darcy. Hello, Tails Darcy. Joe Blow, what's up? Sean McGuire. Hey, J-Man, everyone. All right. Well, let me talk about what I was going to talk about today. What was I going to talk about today? I did actually think of something this time. Well, I've been having some difficulties. You know, nothing serious. Just kind of like hiccups in motivation, and a lot of it comes from like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of like I finished a bunch of projects, you know, a lumber mill, a couple boats, and now I'm kind of in limbo. I'm like, all right, what's the big thing I do next? And you know, I'm just kind of in this kind of a little bit lost spot. Not too lost, but you know, everything's fine. But a little bit lost. You know, when you get some stuff done, often it's hard to get the motivation going or get back in the groove, you know, get the momentum going again. That's what it is. I had a lot of momentum there for a while, and then like 3 projects got done all at once. And I was like, whoa, I just dropped off 3 things, and I got to get some momentum going again. So whenever I have any kind of situation where I'm having motivational difficulties, or, you know, it's kind of hard to get myself organized or whatever, I often employ this technique, which is in the title. I think I wrote it in the title, which is to play my life like a video game. Because when I'm doing life, it's really easy to get just bogged down and feel like I'm in the weeds, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I just want to lay down on the floor and like just lay there for 6 days until I figure out what I'm supposed to do. I don't know, you know? But then if I look at my life like video game style, I'm like, okay, there's Jaimie. Now let me get back here, and I'm driving my controller. Okay, there's the Jaimie right there. All right, what would I do if this was a video game and that's the Jaimie and he's got all this stuff going on? And then it becomes much easier to kind of like figure out what this Jaimie guy should be doing. And then since I'm playing a video game, it's just like, well, you go do it. Because in a video game, you don't just lay on the floor. You wouldn't play some RPG and be like, okay, character, just stand in place or just lay on the floor for the next 6 hours. No, you're like, all right, let's go do something. Let's get into some dungeons and battle some monsters or get some gold or whatever. Let's do stuff. So, you know, when I put myself in that perspective, I'm just like, all right, now I can figure out what the stuff is that Jaimie's supposed to do, and then just obviously start doing it. Now, there are a couple of keys to making this work. One is that you have to get over discomfort. That's a big one, because, you know, when you play video games, you have your characters and they do all this activity and gain all this experience, and then they get stronger. Whoa! But you, as the person playing the video game, you don't actually experience any of that discomfort or pain that your characters are undergoing to gain this experience, to grow, right? But then you come into real life and you can do the exact same thing. You can exercise and get stronger and faster and just better at things in general. You can learn things, like you can level up in real life, right? Learning, growing in any way, but it's always it's always discomfort, it's pain, it's difficult. Oh. So to live a better life, you've got to get over that discomfort and say, hey, my video game guys, they can deal with this discomfort. I'm telling them what to do. I can deal with the discomfort. And then once you kind of get used to the idea that this discomfort isn't a bad thing, this pain isn't a bad thing, no pain, no gain, you got to go through difficult times and you got to deal with some pain and discomfort to be able to grow. And once you start getting that sunk into your head, then you start realizing, oh, discomfort is not something to shy away from. That's a good thing. That's something to go right into. If I'm doing something and it starts feeling uncomfortable, that means I'm starting to level up. I'm getting the experience. I'm gonna be stronger and smarter, or whatever, whatever you're practicing, you're gonna be better at it. Going through this discomfort. So to play your life like a video game, first you have to get over the idea that uncomfortableness is bad or pain is bad. Obviously, if you break your leg, that's a different kind of pain. Don't try to walk around on that. But just the discomfort of learning and growing. Another thing, a really, really big thing, is that you have to figure out what's valuable to you. So like when you're playing a video game, say you're playing, your average RPG. Oh, I got egg sandwich burps now. Woo. Hey, so you're playing your average RPG. You know that the valuable things are gold and experience. That's like what you get gold and you get experience, and then you can get more better equipment and you get stronger, and then you can fight more monsters and you can do more good in the world. Gold and experience, that's what you get, and then you just get more. So it's really simple in a video game to know what you're aiming for, what your goals are, what you need to do when you're just like everyday situations throughout the entire video game. You can go on all these different quests and stuff, but you're always interested in getting more gold so you can get more stuff, and then like experience so you can get stronger, so you can handle more adventures and situations. In real life, it's not so easy to figure out what's valuable, partly because there are so many influences telling us what's valuable, telling us what we're supposed to strive for. So you're supposed to strive for money, so that you can buy stuff, right? Except when you spend your life chasing money, the more you chase the money, the more you are just a slave. It's not rewarding at all. It doesn't give you any kind of long-term benefits. You just end up on this treadmill running and running and running. And like you go to work to get the money to buy the fancy car so that you can go to work to keep paying off the fancy car, the fancy car that will drive you to work. And then you can buy a house that you never see because you're at work all the time. You sleep in it, but you never really enjoy it because you're at work all the time. And it's just this endless, silly treadmill of just slaving away because you think like your goal is supposed to be money. And that means you have to do whatever the people who are controlling the money want you to do. So it becomes kind of depressing, kind of unmotivating. People lose a lot of motivation in their lives. And often people are just like, I'm just not motivated. I'm not happy. I don't care about anything. And often it's because they think they're just supposed to be chasing money, which is just an endless cycle of nonsense. So how do you figure out what's valuable to you? Well, a really easy place to start is just the basics, food, air, water, shelter, like the basics of survival. So if you can plant a garden and grow some food, it's probably going to be hard to do that at the beginning because no one knows how to do that. We're not taught to do that. We're actually discouraged from doing anything independent because then you're not spending money, and that means no one's making money off you. But if you can figure out how to grow some food, then you can be like, wow, look, I get to grow this food and eat it myself. That's something valuable to me and to my life. And on top of that, no one gets to tax it. Whenever you're chasing this money, every time you use the money, every time you make the money, every time you do anything with the money, the man's taking a piece of it. But you do stuff for yourself. No one's coming up to you and saying, oh, before you pick that pepper off that plant that you're going to eat, we have to charge you for the tax of what a new pepper would cost. No, there's nobody there. You just get to have the thing. So if you grow some food in your garden, that's adding value to your life. You figure out how to collect water. If you're in one of those places that doesn't make it illegal, that's adding value to your life. You build some machine that you would normally, that will help you in life somehow. That's adding value to your life. You move to a place that has fresh air. It's adding value to your life. So like figuring out how to like add just the basics of survival and being able to do them yourselves and work on them, that is something that will have sustained motivation, because the longer you do it, the more you do it, the more benefit you get from it. Like if you build a house, then you get to live in your house and you're not paying a mortgage for 30 years. Instead, you actually just get to enjoy the place. Okay, so once you got the basics, you don't want to just live for just to survive, right? But that stuff's all valuable. So what else is valuable? Say you are a writer and you love to write. So papers and pencils or a computer or whatever whatever thing helps you to write, that's valuable. Time and motivation, whatever, like you need some time to be able to write, and you need some kind of experiences or stuff around you or environment or whatever you personally find motivating to write. And then you can do your special thing. And that's something you can work toward that isn't something that the government or big businesses are going to tell you should do. That's something you do for yourself, and that is motivating. And that's basically what I wanted to talk about today. If you want to get out of a slump, start playing your life like it's a video game. Kind of like stick yourself into another perspective. So where you're looking down at yourself and say, okay, this guy here who's me, what would I do with this character if it was a video game? And to do that, you got to get over discomfort, and you got to figure out what's actually valuable to you. Not just what you're told is valuable to you, but what's valuable to you, so that you can actually get your character to go toward those things. All right, what are you guys talking about around here? Oh, making me hungry, Joe Blow. Hello, Jaimie. Okay, how do I get some of bubbles? Oh, you want some bubbles? Okay, let me see. Oh, so here's the bread I made this morning with bubbles. Ooh, very nice, very nice. It's got a lot of coconut. I also didn't let it rise that long. It could have risen longer, but it's totally delicious. So whatever. And so that's sourdough bread, coconut sourdough bread. And for anyone who's missed this before, ooh, here's bubbles. Oh, look at all those bubbles. Look at all those bubbles. Oh, that's bubbly. Except you're losing oh, wait, you know what you can do? I can now just tilt this. Oh, look at that. Look at all of those bubbles. Yeah, bubbles. So bubbles is just flour and water, which is how you make sourdough. So I guess this is my sourdough starter because it starts the bread. I don't know. I just call it bubbles. But if you want some bubbles, you come visit, and if you let me know ahead of time, I'll make sure there's enough bubbles that I can give you a couple scoops or whatever. You can mail sourdough. If you really, really want some bubbles, and you're talking about sourdough bubbles, I don't know, send me a message or something. Like, share, subscribe, bell thing. Okay. When are you getting a PC setup? Oh, so you can play Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out. I don't think I'm going to play Grand Theft Auto anything. Now, I don't know anything about Grand Theft Auto 6. I remember once, many, many years ago, I was visiting this family that I used to do some work for, and I was kind of friends with the family. And one of the kids was like, "Oh, you gotta come and see this new game I got." And it was like it might have been Grand Theft Auto 1. This was a while ago. And he's showing me the game. He's like, "Check out these graphics, it's awesome. And look, I can run up to this guy and kick him in the balls. I can light these people on fire, and I can kick him in the face." And I was just unbelievably bored by this entire situation. I was like, why would you want to do that? Don't you want to like do something heroic, save the world, be amazing? No, you're just going around kicking people in the balls. Like I don't know. Maybe Grand Theft Auto has gotten better since then, but just the name Grand Theft Auto, you're going around stealing cars, probably, right? I don't know. I think I just have no interest. I have no interest in thievery. So yeah, I won't be playing Grand Theft Auto. I did play what's it called? Half-Life recently. All of them. Half-Life 1 and then Half-Life 2 all the way up to I don't know, all the parts. But they never did a Half-Life 3, and you're like kind of left hanging at the end of Half-Life, the last part of Half-Life. Oh, you're totally left hanging. Yeah. Like one of your best friends dies right at the end. But there's some indication that you may find a time machine on a boat, in which case maybe you could save it, but no, they didn't make the game. Anyway, it's always disappointing. Okay. Tony says, hi all. Sup, Jaimie? Whoa, superhero. Oh, wait, is it who a superhero or whoa superhero? I'm going to presume it's whoa superhero. Yes, embarrassing the grind. Wait, until it's comfortable. Embarrassing the grind until it's comfortable. Do you mean, I don't know, that might not be the right word. Yes, I agree. Good points. Focus on interests. Absolutely agree. Self-sustaining yourself is the best possible way to live. No need to pay the government for anything. Yeah, man, totally. Julius Gilbert, what's up, man? Yeah, you know, we're brought up and taught to just be slaves now. Like I was so disappointed when I got through like all the way to the end of high school, and I had no idea how to grow my own food or how to identify trees and know which wood is good. I was just thinking like, what have we been doing all these years? And then I realized, oh, I've been learning how to take orders, how to obey. Like that's what school was for however many years, grade 12 years of learning to obey, which I always had difficulty with, which I'm very happy about. I'm very happy I had difficulty with that. And then university was no better. Yeah, it should be like a basic required learning to learn like what to do with nature, like how to grow food, how to find water, how to build a house. Like how does everybody not know how to build a house? Like I'm sure at one point in time, all the cavemen knew how to build cave entrance or whatever they did. And they learned how to make fires. They learned how to do useful things. And it's really disappointing that at this point in human history, we're putting so much effort into learning how not to be able to take care of ourselves. And it's also that, you know, we just become part of this slave system where we're chasing money, and that means we do whatever we're told, which is, I mean, I get it. There are people who want to control people and tell them what to do, but it's not, I don't know. I don't like that world. That's not a world I want to live in, which is why I'm trying to do something else. Just realize you're going to read that after you're done talking about that. Yeah. I'm not wearing pants. Excellent, classic dude Mike. Pants are overrated. I'm not wearing pants either. I'm wearing shorts. Evening, Jaimie. I hope the calculations may have helped you in some way. You need to input the size of your wire, though. Oh, I know what you're talking about. No, that was way more complicated than it needs. Someone had already sent me the approximate. Okay, just to elaborate on what's going on here. On Facebook, yes, I have Facebook, and occasionally I use it to ask questions of people, and usually I don't get very good answers. But last week, I had this coil or this piece of nichrome wire. It wasn't coiled up yet, just a piece of nichrome wire. And I was going to make this speed controller for my boat. And if you watch my videos on, Jaimie Builds, I built this boat. It works very well. It's got a speed controller that just is like a giant resistor made out of nichrome wire. And to figure out, the length of the wire and everything, I was trying to figure out what the resistance per whatever of this nichrome wire is. So I asked on Facebook, and wouldn't you know it, like 5 minutes after I asked the question, this guy, it's actually the guy who gave me my big lathe back there. He sent me a message saying it's about 0.066 something, whatever, ohms per foot, I think, whatever it is. And here's a little link to a place that has a chart. And I was like, whoa, that's amazing. So I got the answer like lickety split, which was pretty awesome. And it was helpful for getting a rough idea of how much of this nichrome wire I needed to use for this resistive speed control. And then, yes, Quadrant also sent me a calculation, but I already had the answer. So I didn't end up using that. But thank you very much. Ark says, the zombie chopper, fast boat with sock battery? Yes, the zombie chopper is the fast boat with the sock battery. I'm very happy with the sock battery so far. Looks really fast. Congratulations on all the rad boat updates lately. Would one of your PVC bearing roller be of use to drag the boats out of HTO? Well, I've been thinking, okay, so out on my front lawn here, I'm just gonna call it my front lawn, even though it's totally in the middle of the island. Oh, whoa, there's a cool breeze coming in. I need to leave that open. So out my front lawn here, I've been raising up the ground a little, like a, foot, half a meter, somewhere around there. Because it's a little bit low, it's not very high above high tide. I want to make sure it doesn't start flooding. So I want to lift it up a bunch. But I'm not raising up the part where the zombie chopper's parked. And I pull that boat out of the water. And so the zombie chopper's kind of in a divot. And I was thinking about making just a ramp, like turning it into a ramp. And possibly putting concrete on it. But I don't know. I might not want to put concrete because it could scratch up a boat if I make a mistake. But I don't know what else I would put on a ramp like that would not just wash away, Anyway, it's something I'm thinking about. I might do it. And I was thinking about getting the Dragon Wagon, which is a wagon I made years and years ago and has big PVC bearings on it. And, just putting the boat on that and then, dragging it up and then lowering it down. Because the cool thing about those PVC bearings is they can go right in the water, no problem. It's just all plastic. So I might do something like that. Although I don't know how to make the ramp. So I'll have to think about that. I might end up just making a crane system that'll just grab the boats and pull them out. At least that boat, the small boat. The bigger boats, like the Tiger Shark Slicer, that's a pretty heavy boat. I don't know if I want to pull that out of the water. I might just leave it in the water. It's in the water right now. They don't seem to get barnacles when they're parked in the interior of my island here. Maybe it's because the sediment at the bottom of the water is not something barnacles would like or something. Maybe there's nothing, I don't know, but the barnacles don't seem to grow there as long as they're parked in the interior of my island. Or they grow very slowly anyway. Like I only have to clean off the boats like once every week or two, and there's basically nothing on them. But yeah, I do want to make a good parking spot for the zombie chopper. I was thinking about, well, that's one of the projects I was thinking about doing next is make it so, this is going to be a little bit complicated, but the end result would be to make it so I could drive into the canal and not even get all the way in and just stop at one spot and have this crane thing just grab the boat, put it up on the side, and then you can put it back in right in the water. I might be doing that, but I'm gonna have to think about it. It will not be a quick thing to do because there's no good surface there. I'll have to put some dirt, Wait, what was the question? Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to mention about PVC bearings. So the zombie chopper has a motor inside, and then it has a long pipe, like a 1-inch stainless pipe that goes down to a propeller out the back of the boat, and it's at an angle so the water doesn't come back up. But at the bottom, right before the propeller, it goes through this bearing, and the bearing it's PVC pipe, and then in the middle is the steel pipe, and between is just a bunch of rollers that I made on a lathe with some plastic that came out of a boat table. I don't know what the plastic was, but it's just a bunch of little like rollers. They look kind of like cigarettes, like small cigarettes. Yeah, basically like small cigarettes, just like stuffed in there all the way around. And then the steel pipes in the middle. And it's a little bit loose so that if there's any bits that get in there, they can make their way through without damaging anything. And that has worked amazingly well. So I originally made it, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And I kept asking around, trying to find out if someone had made a bearing like this, or if anyone knew of any examples of this that were in use, and trying to get an idea if it works long term. Because what usually happens with a boat where there's a propeller shaft that's under the water and it goes through a bearing is it'll be like this rubbery bearing. It's called a cutlass, like cutlass, like it doesn't cut because it won't cut your shaft. Not like a cutlass sword, but it's basically like a housing and then a rubber lining, and the rubber lining goes against the shaft that's going through, and then it's lubricated by water. The rubber lining will have some grooves so the water can get through, and that kind of keeps it kind of lubed up with seawater, and that's supposed to work pretty well. But I'm thinking like that rubber is going to wear out, right? I don't know. I don't actually know how long it lasts. It probably lasts a long time if people are using them so much. But I was like, what if I make a roller bearing where the rollers, like there's no friction? I mean, there's a little bit of friction, but mostly it's just pieces are rolling, like a ball bearing, but just roller bearings. And I couldn't find any information on it. Couldn't find any examples. So I just made it, and it has been spectacular, really good. The last time I took it apart and checked it was a few months ago. I don't remember what I was doing. I was messing with the motor. Oh yeah, it was when I was fixing the motor mount. I pulled the shaft out and looked at the bearing, and all the rollers still looked brand new, like little cigarettes, and everything looked perfect, and it's still running perfect. It runs smooth, and yeah, I'm really happy with that bearing. And it does have a couple little holes just ahead of the bearing so seawater can get through. So it's constantly lubricated with seawater, which is fine because it's all plastic, except for the the steel pipe, the stainless steel pipe, which does have a bit of rust on it. Probably because it's a 304 stainless pipe, not a 316. I'm not totally sure about that. I think it's a 304. I do have some 316 stainless pipes. 316 is more stainless. So if that one rusts through too much, I do have a replacement. That should be better. But it seems to be, it just has like a surface rust, so it should be fine. Let's see. Embracing the grind. Oh, embracing the grind, not embarrassing the grind. Yes. Yes, Quadrant. I figured out you were Richard from the UK. It took me a second, but then I remembered your name. Tony has a question. Ooh, okay. Let me get ready for a question here. Okay. How do you think about being both scientific and naturalist? Our society seems to feel we need to be one or the other. Why would you be one or the other? That doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, I don't understand why those would be different in any way. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense that those would be mutually exclusive at all. I think if you're a good scientist, you should have a good understanding of nature, and I mean you should be. I don't know exactly what a naturalist is. I have a pretty good idea what the definition of a science-minded person is, but what exactly is a naturalist? I'm going to presume a naturalist, who's kind of in tune with nature. And if you're in tune with science, like that's, I feel like to be in tune with science, you got to be in tune with nature too, because that's where science is all. It's all coming from nature, Like science is learning about the universe, which is the natural world and all this stuff. And then we figure out how to do kind of unnatural things with it. But like all the basic information comes from the natural world. And everything we do goes back to affecting that natural world. So yeah, I don't see why you would be a scientist or a naturalist. I think it's actually kind of necessary to be both, to be either. Yeah. At least to be both to some degree. Question, how do you bake the sourdough? Oh, how do I bake the sourdough bread? Usually, I just bake it in this pan. Look how black it is because I cook it over fire. Yeah, it's just fine. It's not that clean. I actually just cooked my bread in this and then some eggs, and it still had some lunch dirt in it, so it's fine. Yeah, I often don't wash my pan. It depends what's in it. Like I'm not going to put something in it and then after, like I'm not going to cook like a bunch of chicken in it and then like leave it for 3 weeks and then, cook myself some bread or something. I don't get sick and die. But yeah, I often will just leave whatever was previously in the pan and it kind of goes a little bit into the next thing. It also makes it so I don't have to keep reseasoning it. Anyway, so yeah, to bake my bread, I put the pan over fire, put the blob of dough on there, and then put the lid on. And I mean, I have a good idea of how hot the fire should be just because I do it all the time. If I was using a stove, I would start with very low heat because the bread needs to cook for like half an hour. Now, since I'm not baking it in an oven with the heat all around, I'll flip the bread. And depending on the heat of the fire, if the fire is really hot, I'll just keep flipping the bread a lot every like minute or two. But if the fire is kind of at a low level, I'll leave it on one side for 10 or 15 minutes and then flip it over. And it's easier to flip it over if it's been cooking for a while because then it's, kind of cooked through. Whereas if the fire is really hot and I need to flip it a lot, then, the top is gooey at first. So I kind of have to be careful flipping it. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. And if the fire is too hot though, I'll just take the pan off the fire and then put it back on and off and on. But usually I can control the heat of the fire pretty well just by pulling the sticks in and out, kind of like a nuclear reactor, except they don't actually pull them in and out anymore, do they? They rotate a thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I just bake my bread in a frying pan. I've been thinking, well, this is ARC. I've been thinking about a kind of multi-generational approach to enterprise. There should be a lot more multi-generational thinking. What would be really cool? And people get all upset about this. And I'll read the rest of your question in a minute. But like eugenics has gotten a terrible name because like crazy people tried to employ eugenics by murdering people, which just doesn't make any sense. But just eugenics in general is the idea of having some say in your genetic future. So kind of trying to arrange things so that like the strongest, the smartest, and most healthy people have more babies. It gets bad when people start deciding that these people shouldn't live and then they start killing them or castrating people or saying you have to have it. No, you only need to get evolution to work. You only need a little bit of pressure that goes over a long time. So, even just a social encouragement for healthy, strong people to have more children, like you would get healthier and stronger people on average over time, which is really nice. One really cool thing that we could do with this is, how women have a lot of difficulty with childbirth. We could just encourage women who have easy childbirths to have more children and discourage women from who have difficulty with childbirth and this probably happens to some degree, I'm sure. But, in a few generations, it could be a lot easier to have children. Of course, this is always a touchy subject because people say, oh, you don't think I'm good enough to have kids? And I said, no, I mean, everyone has to decide what they're going to do for themselves. For me personally, I'm like strong and healthy and my brain seems to work. I don't know. I could just be crazy. But from as far as I can tell, everything works pretty well. I got pretty good genes, so I feel like some obligation to try to pass them on to the future, because I got some stuff that I was pretty happy about, and I just got it for free. I don't have to work for it or anything. I feel like I'm at least responsible for passing it on. Anyway, speaking of multi-generational things, okay. I've been thinking about a kind of multi-generational approach to enterprise. One thing of note is the idea of planting nut trees to feed animals so that the future does not need to buy agricultural feed. Yes, totally, man. I mean, this stuff used to happen all the time. Like people would, okay, just take Johnny Appleseed. This guy, supposedly he was a real guy, and he ran around all over North America or something, just throwing apple seeds all over the place. And now there are all these apple trees everywhere. And dude's like, these aren't going to be for me, but someone's going to enjoy this. Here's some seeds. And things like corn. Corn was developed over a long period of time by people just selectively breeding the corn to make it more corny. Of course, now we're screwing up the corn with all this artificial crap, and businesses are like, it always annoys the crap out of me when people say you need big corporations because they're the only ones who can make anything work. But like people just on their own created corn, and it was healthier than the crap we have today, much better. And watermelons, over the last 100 years, 150 years, whatever it is, people selected watermelons. They used to be like all white flesh in the middle, and now they're like red and delicious. Like, imagine you had the watermelon and it was just like all that white part all the way through. That's not that great, but people kept selectively breeding them over a long period of time, multiple generations, and then you get these delicious things we have today, these delicious watermelons. Oh, they're insanely delicious. But yeah, we should always be thinking, like, everything we do should be thinking about next generations and stuff. Oh, that's cool, Jaimie. You're welcome. Thank you, Quadrant. Yes. It is almost time for the Adventure Builder Island HQ to have a solar pizza oven. Ooh, yeah, you're right. A solar pizza oven. I was thinking of making like a brick oven that would have, sorry, that's those egg sandwiches I ate right before this. I stuffed them down so I could start doing this. Anyway, I was thinking about doing a brick oven, and I want to make the bricks myself. I'm hoping I can. The problem is that always doing all this stuff myself, it definitely takes longer. I could just go buy some bricks and build it tomorrow, but I want to build the bricks or the whole thing myself with clay that's here, and then just have a wood-fired one. But I could make a solar-powered one. I could get some nichrome wire and make it solar electric. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it. But yes, a pizza oven is definitely, yeah. I gotta get on that. The problem is it's not like an ultimate. It's not like an ultimate high priority item, because I can make pizza and I can make bread with the stuff I have. So there are other things that are higher on the priority list. Like building my second and third floor, which, I have the lumber mill to do it now. Now I have to, figure out how to get the logs here. Although I think the first thing I'm going to cut on the lumber mill, well, not the first thing, I've already cut a couple things, but one of the next things I want to cut on the lumber mill is boards for the tiger shark slicer, because it's missing all these floorboards. So I need to cut a bunch of floorboards for it. And I'm making the floorboards wood because, well, this was in the original design, because that way I can put cargo on and off the boat and not worry about damaging the wood, because the wood, it's easy to replace. That's why I didn't make like fiberglass floors all the way down, because the fiberglass, we get all scratched up, like moving rocks or whatever. And then it would be a mess to repair or replace. But the wood boards, if I get a rotten wood board or one that gets too beat up or scratched, I can just, wood's pretty easy to find. I can make a new wood board. Let's see. if you use the Dragon Wagon, maybe you could have some kind of aluminum or PVC track on blocks. Why does everyone want me to make tracks so much? I don't understand the benefit. I mean, I understand the benefit of tracks, but like if I'm just like pushing a boat in and out of the water, it doesn't need a track. It just needs something flat to roll on. It could be a track. Yeah, people keep suggesting I make like train tracks, like to get logs out of the woods and like to move stuff around. But man, it's a lot of trouble to make something that can move things only in one place, like wherever the track is. I would much rather have, like if I had to move a bunch of heavy stuff around, I'd much rather have a cart, like a wagon with nice wheels that could just roll along flat ground, rather than, something like perfectly manicured with train tracks that could roll so easily, but only in one place, I would make it, I don't know. You're now talking about the crane thing to lift boats, which sounds super cool also. Oh, yes. We need a Jaimie bikini beach girl extravaganza party video. Get on that, Jaimie. Oh, plus I'm happy the zombie chopper came out. So good, you rock. Well, I am also very happy about the zombie chopper. Yeah, I'm really happy about that boat. I'm really happy about both the boats I got finished recently. I'm eager to drive one of them to town. I was thinking about doing it tomorrow. I might do it tomorrow. No, I think I'll wait. I'm going to wait till I actually need to go. So what was that? A bikini beach girl extravaganza party. I don't actually have that big a beach. Although, if I knew a bunch of beach bikini girls were coming, I might get some extra sand and make the beach a little bigger. Anyway, I'll see what I can do. But there have not been a lot of girls on my island. There have been a few. PVC roller bearings. They are super clever and cool. I love the PVC roller bearings. Put them on everything. They're like on all the pedal boats, the bearings and everything. Ever play chess? Seems like you'd be good at it. I have played some chess. I'm not really that motivated to play chess. Just because I guess I have other things to do. And I don't know. But I do have a small chess story. When I was at university, my roommate, my second year, was very into chess, and he played with some of his friends. And one of his friends was like a nationally ranked chess guy. And I was like, well, let me get into this chess a little bit. And I didn't know any strategies or anything. I didn't do any of that. All I did was played by the force, like by instinct. Like I would just look at the thing and be like, what feels right? What feels right? And actually worked really well. But you had to be in I had to be in the right mindset, like a really chill, like not. It's the same mindset for trading stocks and things like that. Like no panic, no hesitation, no hopes or biases. You just got to put all that out of your head and then just kind of go by just totally zero out all the everything, and then just go by instinct. Anyway, I played this guy who was nationally ranked, and I tied him. Like he didn't beat me, but I didn't beat him either. We just tied. And at that point I was like, oh, okay, this works. I'm satisfied with that. And then I didn't play anymore because I just had other things to do. But, I wanted to, I don't know, I probably spent like a month playing. But yeah, now I don't play chess at all. I just have other things to do. Video quality for this live is awesome. Well, a few weeks ago, I changed the antenna for our internet, and it seems to be much faster now. I don't know if the antenna was just getting old and crappy, or if the new one is actually just faster, whatever. I changed the antenna, and it's like the guy who does the internet was like, here, put this antenna in. So I did, and it works better. Ooh, question. Okay, Could the interior waterway be oxygen poor? If so, barnacles will not get enough microalgae to grow. That is quite possible. The water in my canal in the interior of the island is, I don't know. I guess I see little fish swimming in it sometimes, but it definitely doesn't have enough or as much flow as like around the island. Water can flow right through. Like there's a little channel over here that goes under a bridge and then goes out through the main channel where it drives the boats. But it doesn't have a lot of water flow. And it's in the shade. I don't know. Barnacles just don't seem to really grow in there. Have you ever made a solar tracker, panels follow sun? No. To me, it always seemed like the complication of building a solar tracker was less valuable than just getting an extra solar panel or two. You know, like having a big thing with moving parts, it makes it more prone to breaking down or wind damage or all this stuff. And it just seems like it's less trouble and cheaper overall to just get an extra solar panel or two. Question: why don't you get some chickens? Well, I may get some chickens. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some chickens. I don't want to get chickens until I have enough stuff growing to definitely feed them. I don't want to buy chicken food. Deshana has chickens, and she's just constantly buying chicken food. I shouldn't say constantly, but it's like, yeah, it's just like so much chicken food. And I don't want to buy chicken food to feed the chickens just so I can get eggs. Then I might as well just buy the eggs. Like I want to be growing whatever they need to eat. And I might be at this point. I don't know, but I'm not ready for that yet. Yeah, I feel like I either need some help to do it now. If I had another person here, I could get chickens now. But on my own right now, I feel like I'm not ready for it yet. I need to get some other stuff done first. Okay. About the childbirth thing, ever since C-sections became common, there are more people carrying the genes for being unable to handle natural birth. Seems bad. Yeah, that's actually the problem with medicine in general. Like, this is going to ruffle a few people's feathers, but I'm just going to state some facts, and maybe it's not a good thing, and fine, whatever. I intend to express no opinion here. Of course, I do have an opinion, but like medicine in general makes it so weaker people can thrive and produce babies, and send those genes into the future. So you could say that medicine in general helps people in the present at the cost of people in the future. And it's an unfortunate thing, because when someone is suffering, you want to help them now. One way to solve this problem for the future would be to just have just to generally in our society, to have people acknowledge that if your health isn't that great, you shouldn't have as many babies, or maybe you shouldn't have any. You would never want to do anything where it's like a government mandate that's forcing people, because then things get real ugly. But just having a culture, what I was talking about earlier about eugenics in general. When governments get involved in that stuff, it gets really ugly. But when it's just like people's common sense saying, okay, I'm a healthy person, and my wife, she's also a healthy person, we should have children because they're going to have a good chance of being healthy and strong, blah, blah, blah. Or saying, I have a genetic defect, so I'm not going to have babies, or maybe I'll have fewer babies, just having that kind of common sense that people would take upon themselves to be responsible for their own, genes either being passed on or not being passed on, could make a huge difference for people in the future. One of the reasons we don't think about that now is because it doesn't affect us now, and people today are greedy and don't care about the future. A lot of people don't care about what happens tomorrow. They're just like, right now, I want this, and I don't care about anything else. Yeah, exactly. With now that so many people now that it's so easy to get a C-section, you don't have to be able to give birth. Like you can be literally unable to give birth, but you can still have babies. And there's a good chance those babies will also have difficulty giving birth or be unable to, which, yes, is a bad thing. And it's a cultural choice that we collectively make. Sometimes maybe like when you look at these sci-fi shows, they'll show different races where some races got really into technology and medicine, and then their people became like small and weak with big heads and eyes, and they're really logical but very weak, and they get sick easily and die, but they got lots of technology. Or then you got like the Klingons, who are just like, I don't need medicine, and they continually manicure their genetic code to be stronger and healthier, so they're just more robust. Personally, I think we could have both. We would just have to select which technologies we were using and how to use them and figure out how that affects us culturally and all that stuff. But all right, it's a huge, complicated issue that could go on for a long time. Mostly inedible apples, though. Oh, really? Pyro said, okay, so I was talking about Johnny Appleseed, throwing apple seeds around, growing apple trees. I have never come across an apple tree that had inedible apples. I have often come across apple trees where people said those apples are not real apples. And then I go eat one, and I'm like, what's wrong with this apple? It's it's a crab apple. It's not a Macintosh or a Johnny Delicious or whatever. Oh, God. So, I've literally never come across an apple tree where the apples were inedible. I think the worst apple tree, there were several apple trees on the trail to my house in Vermont. That was one of the highlights of that walk up. There were some apple trees, there were some strawberry patches, and some raspberry and blackberries. And different times of the year, you could just like snack the whole way up. Oh, it's amazing. But there are a few different apple trees, and one apple tree produced kind of chalky apples. Still totally edible though. Like you could pick one up. I often picked them up and ate them. But even with the chalky apples, if you cooked with them, like if I made an apple pie, no sugar added, it was delicious. Could make applesauce with crepes, delicious. I've heard this statement many times about apples, because if you take an apple seed and you plant it, you're not going to get an apple tree that produces the same apples as the apple that seed came from, because it's just kind of this randomized thing with apples. I don't know. There's so many different. There's a lot of variety in apple trees, and the seeds kind of seem to make just about any one, But yeah, the crab apples, I totally eat them. Totally good. Okay, mostly inedible apples, though, yes. Due to the variability of apples are mostly bitter, and the apples do not resemble its parent's apple. Okay, that was what I just said. I've never actually had a bitter apple, though. Like, I've had apples that are not as sweet as the ones you get in the store. And I've had ones that are, like I was saying, chalky. But that was kind of like a lack of flavor. I've never had an apple that's actually bitter. Of course, I wasn't eating sugar at the time, so my palate is different than a lot of people's. Okay, about ovens. The brick oven would be really, really nice. Better than the solar thing in many ways. I do want to build a brick oven. Oi, bruv. Nice to catch the live again. How's it going, Baird? Thumbs up, everyone. Mr. Landfill's giving everyone thumbs up. Ark says about ovens, I don't eat that much bread or pizza, so I agree that it's low priority. It would almost be cooler to have a really nice outdoor kitchen if one were going to build something. I do want to build a really nice outdoor kitchen. And I did not used to eat much bread product stuff at all because, it's wheat. Wheat is not that great. It's not like the best food ever. If I eat some wheat, I would just be like, I feel kind of crappy. But sourdough, once I started making sourdough, it was before I started making it. Once I started eating someone else's sourdough, I was like, this doesn't make me feel like crap. So now that I make sourdough, which doesn't make me feel like crap because it's, I don't know, once it's fermented, it changes it into more foody, I guess. Much better for you and doesn't make me feel like crap. Now I eat much more bread and pizza and stuff like that. Yeah, for a while when I made pizza, I would make pizza on like hash browns or stuff like that, instead of on dough. Pizza on hash browns is delicious, by the way, although it's a lot of oil, so I try not to do that. Tracks. I don't know why I keep suggesting tracks for everything. Yeah, what is the deal, man? Okay, tracks or a zip line. Everything's a zip line. Hey, Jaimie, for those 4,000-pound logs, just run a zip line. And I'm like, how much pressure, how much tension that's gonna put on that zip line? Oh my God, it'd be ridiculous. Okay. With small gauge tracks, oh no. With small gauge tracks, I guess the idea is that you can move them around. But like, why do I want to move tracks around every time I want to go somewhere? And then I have to doesn't reach. I have to make more track. Why don't I just have a cart with good wheels? Because the track is going to have to go on something flat anyway, right? Like the track cannot run like on ups and down bumps. The track already has to go on something flat, right? So a cart with some nice wheels on it will totally roll on something flat. No need for tracks at all. And then I can also run the cart off the smooth part, and do a little bit of off-roading. In the old days in Europe, when someone would fire their oven, the whole neighborhood would use it to avoid wasting the heat. Well, maybe not the whole neighborhood. Yeah, that's another reason I have not built a brick oven yet, because I would be using it to make like a few pizzas or like a loaf of bread, like just one. So it would be a little bit silly. If I could do it and then make like 10 loaves of bread and just cook everyone's bread, well, that would make more sense, or just tell people, everybody come over Saturday afternoon, we're firing the oven, bring whatever you want, then it would seem like it's more reasonable. Everyone brings something to bake and a piece of wood, that would make total sense. A disco ball to cast shimmering light around your dome would be really beautiful. Ooh, that could go with the Bikini Beach ladies that I was being told about earlier, which I don't know where they are. I don't see them around here. That would be cool. Prisms and holographic foil to cast light spectrums around the room would be nice. Also, strangers decorating your house. There are a couple spots in my house that get rainbows. So right here, I've got my water thing, and it's got like a water jug, well, one of these upside down on top of it. And in the morning, the light comes through over there, goes through the jug, and paints rainbows on the counter right here. And then also, I've got a piece of glassy stuff over there, and it makes a rainbow on the floor in the morning as well. So the kids often play with that. No, well, it's not glass; it's plastic. It was a Fresnel lens, a Fresnel lens, but it got old and brittle and it's cracked. But it still makes a prism on the floor, so the kids jiggle it around and move the rainbows around and stuff. Pyro 313, bitter apples. They use them for making cider. Ooh, that sounds delicious too. Are you planning on getting a freeze dryer? Not planning, no. Maybe I will at some point. Should I get a freeze dryer? Do I need to freeze dry things? Freeze drying is pretty pretty delicious, small man. Freeze-dried strawberries. Oh, so delicious. Okay. But yeah, I have no current plans to get a freeze dryer. Joel McKenna has a question. Oh, okay. Gotta get ready for a question. Okay. Other than scorpions, what other critters are on your islands? Scorpions and snakes. I don't know if I've ever actually seen a snake on this island. But I'm not connected to anything through any kind of land or mangrove. Like there's water all the way around, so a snake would have to swim here. But a snake could get here, like boa constrictors swim. But I haven't seen any. It's big spiders. There's some big spiders like tarantulas around. I've definitely seen those. Last week, my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, ran around the house. She was outside behind my house on the path. She ran out to the front. Spider, spider, spider. So I went back and looked, and there was this giant spider on the back of the house, and I whacked it with a machete. Side of the machete. I don't need to cut my house. Because I wasn't sure what kind of spider it was, and I'm not taking a chance with something that big. Besides, even if it's not a poisonous spider, I don't want a lot of those those monster spiders around. So I'd smush them. There's some really cool birds. Oh, what was it like last week? Again, last week, I was up on the hill behind my house, and I wish I had my camera because I think it was either a peregrine falcon or something that looked very much like a peregrine falcon, landed right on top of my house up there. And from the hill, from standing up on the hill, it wasn't that far away from me. So it was just hanging out up there. This huge bird of prey. I don't know how big it was. It's hard to, those kind of birds, like, they don't look like they're the right size, and you get up to them and they're like way bigger than they look from far away. But yeah, I was just hanging out up there for a while, and I was like, man, my camera, this bird is beautiful. And I had a couple birds of prey born on my island while I was building my house. Maybe it was right after I was building my house. But yeah, some mama bird had a nest and some eggs, so I just didn't go near that section of the island for a few months. And sure enough, the babies popped out, and they've been flying around. I don't know where they are now, though. Let's see. I'm sure there are some other critters that I'm not thinking of. Let's see. No electricity to run a freeze dryer. I can run a freeze dryer. Heck, I could put a freeze dryer on the tiger shark slicer. That's got plenty of electricity. Chickens ferment the cheap grain, opens up huge spectrum of nutrition from the seed. That's what I do. What plants are you planting for chicken food? I am interested in Siberian pea shrub. Siberian pea shrub. Yeah, I couldn't grow that here because it's not cold. I'm not particularly growing anything for chickens right now. I'm mostly trying to grow stuff for me. I have some watermelons that I just started. And then in here, there's nothing. There's some pepper seeds. Maybe next week they'll be sticking up, but right now there's nothing. I have another one of these with squash right over there that's just starting to poke up. Yeah, I'm just trying to grow vegetables for me to eat. My yam pea seems to be growing really well, and yucca. Both of those are like potato-ish things. They grow underground, like potatoes. And the yam pea is like a vine, kind of like a potato. And then yucca is more like a stick with a bunch of leaves on it. It's like a little tree thing. Those are growing pretty well. What else do I have out here? Oh, coconuts. I always have coconuts. I shouldn't say that. I don't always have coconuts. Sometimes just no coconuts will fall for a while. And I'll even knock some off a tree. Oh, and yeah, fermenting the cheap grain. Maybe I need to grow some grain. I don't know. I might be able to have chickens now if I just put them inside like a mobile chicken tractor where I can, just a mobile chicken house where I can move them around. They can eat different parts of the ground, get the bugs in the grass and whatever. They might do fine on that. I'm just not. I have too much going on. I have too much to do for one person to handle that at the moment. I figure I still have like 2 or 3 years of kind of like hard struggling before I get to the point where I can kind of, catch my breath and relax and be like, I've got things pretty well set up. Like I've got some things pretty well set up, but there's a lot to do. In Vermont, the first time I went off grid, it took about 5 years to get to the point where I was inside and I was just like, I don't have anything to do. I can just chill. That was kind of cool. And then I could start, working on my fun projects. How does corn grow down there? Corn grows great wherever there's some decent soil. So I can't grow corn in the clay, but I do have some corn growing up on top of the hill where I broke it up and mixed in a bunch of compost and some charcoal and stuff. And well, it's only one corn plant. I'm just testing, and it's like this big, doing pretty well. And I have some sweet potatoes growing up there and some yampi, and those are doing great. So yeah, I'm optimistic about the corn. Some people around here do grow corn, so I know you can do it. And you mentioned pea shrubs in the previous comment. I'm growing pigeon peas, and I have a pigeon pea tree that's like a big pigeon pea thing. And I'm just thinking, like, when that fluff and stuff, is this thing going to make some pigeon peas? Because it's huge. When do pigeon pea trees start making pigeon peas? Because the thing's like way over my head, and it's like, why? Like, it's huge. Let's see, Jaimie, you do these every Sunday, right? Yes, Julius. Apparently, I do these every Sunday at about 5 lately. Is there a set time for the streams, or is it just around this time of night? Yeah, I've been trying to do them around 5 o'clock. And that time works pretty well for me because it's before it gets dark, so I don't have to have a big light on that's attracting bugs. And it just seems like a pretty good time of day. So I'm trying to do 5 o'clock every Sunday. And then it's for like an hour or two. Chickens, farm mealworms. I wonder if they could occasionally eat crabs. Yeah, I could catch crabs. I could probably make a pretty good little crab trap. I wonder if I buried a bucket in the ground, if crabs would fall in and wouldn't be able to get out. If I could catch crabs that way. I know you can catch like beetles and stuff that way. I don't know, I could probably just catch a bunch of stuff chickens would eat. And then, yeah, mealworms or just like fly larvae and stuff. Some people have mentioned that to me. And again, I want to set that stuff up. It's just me here doing all the stuff right now. At some point, hopefully I get my kids more into that stuff. But so far, it's just me doing all this. So I got to pick what I can prioritize and get through things. My doctor told me if I was agreeing to have a C-section, I would be on TV. What? Why? He said my kid was too big. I didn't answer him. Looked at him weird. He never showed up. Wait, my doctor told me if I was agreeing to have a C-section, I would be on TV. Or if you're disagreeing. Most tasty apples are grafted to a crab apple stock. Yeah, so to get one of the store fancy apple varieties, like you want to get Red Delicious died out, didn't they? For some, I don't know, I think they all died out. But then they started some new ones. Let's see, what's a Granny Smith apples. If you want a Granny Smith apple tree, you start growing an apple tree, and then you cut it off. You murder that sucker, chop its head right off. And then you get a Granny Smith stick, graft that on, you got to cut them so they match together and then tape them up and stuff. And they'll start growing together. And then the tree will grow into a Granny Smith tree, even though it doesn't have Granny Smith roots. So that's how they keep growing the same variety of apples over and over. Because if you just plant apple seeds, you just get randomness, which is mostly crab apples, which are delicious. I don't know, I like them. Most tasty apples. I've eaten a lot of wild apples that were too bitter, but I admit maybe inedible isn't quite true. Yeah, it could also be your palate. Do you eat a lot of sugar? Because like in the world today, people eat way too much sugar, and it's really screws up our palate. It makes like everything taste crap, except sugar. That's true. They could eat fish leftovers. Yes, chicken could eat. Hash brown pizza sounds amazing. It is pretty good. Yeah. Apple snapple. Throw some peanut butter on it. I can't actually grow apple trees here. They don't grow in the tropics. They need some cold. I can grow these things called rose apples, which I do. I have a rose apple tree over there and a couple over there. And they're like the size of golf balls and these crispy things. They're not really like apples, but they're called rose apples. And then also water apples, they look like apples, like big red apples, but they're very spongy. And those apples, as far as I know, you take a water apple seed, you plant it, you get the same water apples. So they're not really apples. And they're kind of spongy. They're not that delicious to eat, but cooking with them, great. Yeah, cooking applesauce with them works really well. Jaimie, ooh. This is from Bubble Elvis. Bubble Elvis. You can make anything that would be functional. Have you ever wanted to make an object that would be functional, but mostly beautiful, like 90% of the effort going into making it beautiful? Well, I don't even know what that means. To me, functional things are beautiful. Like that's a lot of what gives things beauty to me. Like this here water tank is made out of a beer keg. To me, the beauty is that it's stainless steel. This thing is going to last thousands of years. Like I just see beauty there. So I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I don't know. Yes and no. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer the question. Yeah, because to me, beautiful is functional. They go together, which I do understand is not the way most people are. The log cart could have dragon wagon wheels. Well, the log cart could have dragon wagon wheels. However, I think I'm going to be going over some potentially rougher terrain, getting the log. So I want bigger wheels that could handle bumps and, going over things and in holes and stuff. So bigger wheels would be better. Would a solar brick kiln be feasible or useful? I don't know, maybe. I mean, I guess the answer is it's feasible if it's useful enough. So I guess it depends if I come across a sufficient use for that, and I figure out a way to make it easily enough that I don't know, maybe. I do want to make bricks and stuff like that and tiles. So around here, loggers use a standing tree and snatch blocks to move logs through the forest. Standing tree and snatch blocks. So basically you pull it up and it kind of whoosh, yeah. I may end up doing that. So I figure I'm probably going to have one path through the jungle that's going to be good for a cart. But I'm just going to kind of pick a path that goes through by a lot of stuff where I think there's going to be good logs down and stuff. But probably I'm going to have to move logs from whatever gnarly terrain they're in up to the path or down to the path or whatever. Like I'm going to have to get them to the cart. So for that, I'll probably use some kind of techniques like that, like ropes and, block and tackle and stuff up to a tree. Yeah, whatever works to get it there, I might build a thing. Actually, I probably will build a thing I built one in Vermont. I was mentioning this the other day. It's kind of a thing like this, like from my elbow here, and then you tie a log up there and you go like this and get these two fingers jammed into the ground. You go and it pries and drags the log. You can move some pretty heavy stuff that way. Oh, we've got a weird question. Okay, I'm ready for a weird question. But how cold is the water you shower with? It's not. Is it kind of room temperature because of the climate you live in, or is it cold because the concrete water tank insulates it? It's pretty warm. If it is recently rained, the water is cooler, which is so nice. It's so nice when it's cooler. Today, I think it rained last night, so there's probably some cooler water in the bottom of the tank. Um, so I could probably have a decently cool shower, which I might go do after this because I'm kind of hot. But yeah, it's not very cold. I wouldn't call it cold at all. Do you ever think you will become self-sufficient? Yeah. And what do you plan to do when you can no longer do things yourself? Die? I mean, when I'm dead? I don't know. I'll do whatever dead people do. I bet taro, how do you say it? Taro grows great there. Yes. And I've had it before. I don't remember the details, but yes. Again, whenever you say again, you should think, maybe I shouldn't say it again. Raised beds for production. I still need to send you photos of my cold frame things. I can't keep up with the production. In New Mexico, about 3 years in, we built cold frame raised beds. Food production really ramped up big time, optimized soil. So yeah, the thing I need to do with soil here is mix charcoal into it. And I do have some raised beds. And they're not doing shit, man. they're not doing well. But I think I don't know. I need to work. I need to work on my soil more than anything else because I have really clay soil. Although I'm getting some areas that are better now. Like I'm actually getting some things growing now that I could not grow when I first got here. So that's good. I took some grass, put it in a 5-gallon bucket with some water. Okay, some grass and water in a bucket, yeah. If you leave sealed for 2 weeks or until it stinks, it will make one great fertilizer. Works amazing. Yeah, I've heard that. So put grass, like composty stuff in general, in a sealed bucket with water, and then when you open it, it'll be good fertilizer. Yeah. Pigeon pea. Ooh, they're evidently super great for chickens. Those would be great to propagate for the future when you have birds. But how big do my pigeon trees get? My pigeon pea trees get before they make some frickin' peas? Do peanuts grow very well down there? I don't know. I want to get some peanut seeds. I need to order some peanut seeds. I'm planning to order some peanut seeds. We did order some a while ago, and Deshana forgot about them, and they were in her bag and got moldy, so they didn't work. But yeah, we need to order some more. And I definitely want to grow peanuts because, like, I buy these every time I go to town. I buy multiple bags of peanuts. My kids are peanut monsters, and they love peanut butter. Just any nut. I want to get any nuts growing I can here. So that's definitely something I'm working on. I do have a cashew tree. It's doing okay. It's not big enough to grow cashews yet. What would it take to make an electric boat as fast as a gas boat? Depends on the gas boat. I don't know, just enough batteries, a big enough motor. Depends on the boat. Yeah, and it totally depends on the gas boat too. So my neighbor has a gas boat that the zombie chopper can roughly match. So it does go as fast as that gas boat. It doesn't go as fast as, like, the other person over there who has like 175 horsepower motor. I'm not putting, I just think that's a waste. Log cart, you're right. Tires like the tractor tires. Oh my God, tractor tires are so heavy. I don't want it that big. When are you bringing wood to sawmill? Well, I've already brought some, but I definitely want to get more. I don't know when. There's an app called iNaturalist, which is free, that might work awesome at helping you identify all the plants already growing so you don't accidentally cut down something special. I think I actually have a pretty good idea of what's growing on my island now and what's edible and what's not. I'm trying to think if there's anything around here that I'm not sure about. The other question is does this app work in Central America? Because I found a lot of things like that will work in North America, but not here. partly, I think the difficulty is that there are so many different kinds of plants here. Like, I can't, at one point I had a good tree identification website bookmarked, and then that computer died and I never found it again. Ugh. But most tree identification things work in North America, where there are like 10 different kinds of trees, and that's like 99% of the trees. But like here, there's so many different kinds of trees, so like 100 different kinds of trees. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. Are you going to rise the water level with rocks and soil? Am I going to rise the water level with rocks and soil? Oh, I mean, good job, you corrected yourself because I had no idea what you're talking about. Are you going to rise the ground level for vegetation? Am I going to raise the ground level for vegetation? Well, I am raising the ground level and I am planting stuff in it because, as I put dirt there, it's loose. So I'm planting potatoes and other potato-y kinds of things. So I guess the answer is kind of yes. About soil, charcoal harbors microorganisms and may initially take some time to ramp up. Check out Gabe Brown for a nice introduction to practical soil science. Your sawmill will be amazing for soil. Yes, I'm hoping this sawdust does help with the soil. It does mushrooms too. I believe it only needs an internet connection, not positive. Oh, you're talking about the iNaturalist thing. I hate things that need internet connection. I actually want to get rid of the internet here. I was happier before I installed the internet here. Like the more internet I have, the more unhappy I am. Not this. Doing this live is great. I love talking with you guys. This is like the highlight of my internet experience. Wendy says, now that electric cars have been on the market long enough to be ending up in junkyards, have you thought about ways to repurpose their electric engines like in boats? Well, I don't know that there are a lot of electric cars around here that I could get a hold of, but I would totally use one. Yeah. If I had access to the batteries or the electric motor, I would totally use them. Although I probably wouldn't want as big a motor as the cars generally have in them. But maybe if they have like the hub wheels or the hub motors, maybe I could use one. I don't know. Anyway. Soil. Also, jungle soils are different, I think. Very competitive. There's a nitrogen-fixing bacteria called Azospirillum. Ooh, did I say that right? Azospirillum? No. That is sold, which was isolated from the Amazon. Interesting. Oh, very good. I doubt soil microbes are your issue. You're planting in soils that are undisturbed. Yeah, I'm planting in like pure clay. Well, originally, now it's getting much better because I'm mixing stuff in and making the soil better. Soil is microbes. Oh, I'm a soil scientist. Oh no. Soil equals trophic web. Fungus takes sun, trades acids and sugars. Everything ramps up from there. Ooh, can I get some of that happening? Yeah. Okay, Jasper says, when you going to go diving? Wait. Dude, you need to make full sentences. When you going to go diving gear for salvage and treasure? Oh, well, I guess in 2 or 3 years when I get things here kind of at a point where I can relax a little. That is something I'm looking forward to though, like diving for salvage treasure stuff. And who is the soil scientist? Oh, Sadie D, you're a soil scientist. So what can you tell me about super dense orange clay in Central America? What do I need to do to it to make it so it'll grow more stuff, like vegetables and stuff? That would be well, I don't want to ask your professional opinion and not pay you anything. Although I am giving out videos for free. Oh, going to get diving gear. Oh, I'm not going to go get diving gear for salvage and treasure. What diving gear do I need? I even have a mask and some flappers and stuff. What else do I need? I do kind of want to make like the old style diving helmet with the compressor up at the top. And then you go down with the hose. I think that would be really fun. Trees take sun, trade acids and sugars to fungus, which mine minerals, other creatures eat fungus, etc. You need to look up your local soil series for info. Okay. Thank you for everything you do, Jaimie. Very inspirational. Well, thank you. Shooby-doo-op. Oh, shooby-doo-op. Well, I think I'm at the end of comments. Hey, fellow adventure builders, Joseph says. Oh, Wendy says sand plus organic matter plus clay equals soil. Add what you don't have enough of. Okay, sand, organic matter, and clay. I'll have to get more sand. I know where to get sand. And then organic matter that's falling down from the trees all the time, and I'm mixing that in as I go. So I think I'm on the right track here. But you can figure out your soil texture at multiple depths. That's where you start. Okay, so I can tell you right now, my soil is kind of like, it's kind of like soily, like that deep, and then it's like solid clay, like nothing else. Like you can literally make pottery with it. It's kind of impressive, actually. Soil is a living, dynamic phenomena. Then figure out the nutrient status. Yeah, I'll have to interrogate it later to find out the nutrient status. Well, from what I understand, in Central America and South America, in all these rainforesty areas, the nutrients get washed out of the soil because there's a lot of rain. Like here, it's like 300 inches per year or something like that. Like it rains a lot, and the soils end up depleted. However, I've been told that if I mix charcoal into the soil, the charcoal will absorb nutrients that will not get washed away from the rain, but the plants can still get the nutrients from the charcoal. So I've been working on, mixing charcoal into the soil. Like I made a video about this a little while ago. I've been making these kind of like soil beds where I chew up the soil and then put a bunch of compost and then wait a couple months, like put a big compost pile and wait a couple months for it to shrink down and compost, and then mix it in again. And on the second one I did, I took a big dead tree. Well, I shouldn't say a big dead tree. I took a dead tree and put it on the thing on my soil area, smashed it, broke it up enough that I could light it on fire, and the whole thing kind of burned up and left a lot of charcoal and ash. And I mixed that into the soil. So hopefully that's going to help. Terra Prieta. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to make. Creates a biome for microorganisms. Porous carbon sponge, charcoal, compost. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Clay holds water and nutrients well. Does it? Excellent. What about hydroponics? Yes, I said this before. I don't know. I'm just trying to get the soil thing to work. Maybe. Well, for hydroponics, I need to like buy nutrients for the water, right? I don't want to do that. I don't want to buy stuff to make my plants grow. I want to do it myself. Now, aquaponics, which means like the exact same thing as hydroponics, right? Except it's with fish. The fish poo feeds the plants. That I would do. So I don't know. If you add sand to clay, it will turn into cement. So more organic matter is important. Yes, definitely. Thanks for getting me back on track. I felt overwhelmed by my workload. You reminded me to keep pushing forward. Well, you're very welcome, Bob. You can go too far with organic matter too. You end up creating an anaerobic situation. Oh, biochar is okay. Oh, good. A guy once used a new backpack weed sprayer as an underwater air source for deeper water dives. Oh, that's funny. Cool. backpack weed sprayer. Let's see. I think I'm at the end of comments here. So I think the sun's starting to go down. I think I'm going to get off this and I'm going to go have a shower because you may not be able to tell, but I'm sweating here. I can feel it dripping down my back. It's just hot. Carbon, sawdust, or dead wood plus nitrogen, pea, chicken poop. I got peat. I have tons of peat. Or green organic matter equals compost. Okay, sawdust and pea. I have those. Great stream. Thanks for all the great videos. Well, you're very welcome, Mr. Landfill. And I hope you have an excellent evening. I think it's evening for you. And how hot does it get there? It doesn't actually get that hot. You know, I've been saying it's so hot for a while. And it is kind of hot, but it's only like 28 degrees Celsius. Like it's not even 30 degrees or anything. Yeah, it's usually about 28 degrees Celsius. But the thing is, I've been doing so much physical work that I'm just hot all the time. You know, when you exercise, you get hot. And if you exercise a lot, you just stay hot all the time. When I used to live in cold climates, I loved winter because I could be comfortable. And I would always, not always, I would usually go outside just wearing a t-shirt, you know, because I was always hot. You know, like those Universal Soldier guys, they're always overheating because they're doing so much. So yeah, I've just been doing a lot of physical activity lately, a lot of digging and stuff like that. So I'm just hot all the time. But I asked my kids the other day, and they're like, "No, it's not that hot," but it is for me. Anyway, Michigan, Mr. Landfill, right? Consider making a broad fork. I should make a broad fork, right? To break the root restrictive layer that the clay creates. Good night. Yes. Okay. I don't even know if a broad fork would be able to handle this stuff. I've been using a pickaxe, which works pretty well. But maybe I could make a really strong broad fork. Anyway, all right, I'm getting out of here. I hope everyone has a good, I agree on the videos. I love them. Can't wait for the next one. Well, I'll have to come up with something to do then. I don't have any videos in the queue. All right, I'm getting out of here. Everyone have a good night or evening or morning or whatever you're doing, wherever you are. And I'm going to stop streaming.